read various things and chat various stuff. So, we do that. Greetings, everybody. Welcome to Discussing Tabletop. Diving right into it today. It's the last show of the year. Hey, we made it through 2024. So yes, it's December 28th. If you're joining us and want to know the timing and such like that. Yeah, we've managed to make it through a year. We've got some more. I hope you enjoyed all the content that we all kind of put out there for you. And I wasn't planning for like a year-end review or something this week, but maybe I'll see if people want to do a little bit of that like next week. Talk about it beginning of the new year. Just because, maybe I'll think about it. That might be an interesting thing to add to the topics. Anyway. We do have some interesting things to talk about today. We were just chatting about, general feeling wells and stuff like that. We'll be going into it today.
No,
so
I'm very, very slightly sick, like as slightly sick as you can possibly be, and still feel sick.
So, I have to say, it took till yesterday, but my stuff that was technically for Christmas finally came in. my role-playing related stuff, because there'd been an issue with payment on the family Amazon, which I had fixed it, of course. But now I have so now in the future I have Star Trek Adventures, the 2nd edition core book.
I have the PDF of that.
I also get the Pathfinder 4 physical, which I wanted that.
Was that the
Player
original
core.
one?
Player,
Is it the original player core or the new one? Oh, that's the player core. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know why my brain saw the other cover, which was the...
Yeah. And to be opened some point in time, I got Bloomburrow, the box. Be opened up. The little animal magic set. So
you should do that on camera.
That's the plan. I might make a deck out of it on camera too. But that'll be maybe next week. So got some. It was an exciting tabletop related the holiday, I guess you can call it. Anything related to tabletop for your week, or was it just a holiday week for you?
Well, I mean, so I've been building my character for the other game. I did get accepted into that other game.
You mentioned
on All Dragons channel. Yeah, it'll be a 2e game. I'll be playing a gnome thief illusionist.
Sounds like a interesting topic. So
yes.
You'll have to share stories of it once it begins.
Whence it begins.
Whence it begins. I wanted to say that, and it didn't come out right. It's like, guys, where did English go?
Actually, I mean, that is, I think, technically correct. The best kind of correct.
It's the best kind. But yeah. Shall we dive into our topics at least to start out with?
Sure.
Okay. How about we start off with an interesting one? Hey, the Dark Alliance game that came out a couple years ago, it's dead. Well, it's going to die. I'll give this link to an article run by The Gamer, which I thought was pretty cool about this. It's a pretty simple article here, too, but if you do not recall at all, it was a video game that came out in 2021. So it is 3 years ago, middle of that kind of time period. This would have been... I'm trying to think of time-wise where everything stands. That's my brain trying to be where are we good? So this is because we're in that time period of, this is the first of the D&D games that are coming out. Baldur's Gate 3 was already being worked on. We knew about Baldur's Gate 3, we knew about Larian, but we didn't know what else they were doing. They come out with this, and if you don't recall what it was a co-op brawler kind of thing starring Dritz and his friends.
Yeah, I don't think it was turn-based.
Oh, it was an action game.
Yeah, which I think is... I'm gonna be honest, I don't think you should... I think if you're going to do a D&D game, you should do it turn-based.
Like, I don't even think it was, like, a Diablo-style game.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, which a Diablo-style game could work for D&D because it's got a leveling system. You could boil down a lot of stuff for it. You could build a game like that using the ideas of D&D, and it probably would work. And I think that would be a very action-oriented game. You know, I can't remember the name of those style of games, the Diablo stuff. It should be in the brain, but I have to look that up because I'm trying to figure that.
Dungeon crawl, action role playing dungeon crawls,
like an action role playing dungeon crawl where you're getting a lot of loot and stuff. Yeah. So, but okay.
That's what Wikipedia calls it.
That's fine. That fits it very well.
Hack and slash is the other one. Is another name.
Yeah, but like a traditional hack and slash might not have the role-playing dungeon crawl aspects of it. You know, it can just be a hack and slash. I feel this was more an actual hack and slash when we looked at it. The Steam page still is, which I think you can see. Sure, you have to have me put in like information, like, you know, oh, this is an adult thing. Put in your age. So I'm checking on. I'll give the Dark Alliance page. For the short period of time it still exists, this Steam page will be going away.
I do find it weird that they're not going to sell it anymore.
Yes, that is an interesting one. It's not... the servers are going down. It's being delisted from Steam. That means it is going away, and if you do not own it, you cannot own it. So yeah.
Well, it's full price right now. If we're on Steam, if we're on sale for the Steam sale, I might. But
if they drop the price, it's $30. Yeah. I think at the time I was curious about this game a lot, and I felt like it wouldn't have enough, and it feels like I unfortunately was right. Which I would rather have not been right, and I would have rather than been fans about it. Honestly, I would rather it still be around. But no, they're not only shutting down the servers, they're getting rid of the entire game. Which, you know, okay, you're getting rid of your multiplayer, but it seems extreme to also delist it at the same time. It's one thing, okay, the multiplayer servers are down. The game's still dead. But, yeah.
I mean, it sounds like I'm reading some reviews right now. It honestly seems like the biggest problem is that the gameplay is just buggy and inaccurate, which is not what you want for a hack and slash. Like, I mean, imagine, like, you know, Dark Souls, but your hits don't land where you think they should, you know? Of course, it's probably easier than Dark Souls, but...
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, it seems
it might have gotten better, but I don't know. It's like, because that's the thing is, I know that was a big. I remember it having a big problem on launch. Big problems on launch. Yeah, it says it's clunky. Controls aren't the best. Like, this is the kind of stuff I'm getting. Like, either your attacks are inaccurate or.
It seems like they didn't fix any of the problems, and even like the DLC they added didn't really add to it. Which is unfortunate. They kind of just run into situations where, I don't know. Was it just? Here's the question. We might not know because it would be like exploring the development of the game. Was it something that happened that resulted in rush schedule? Was it just a group of people that were, you know, inexperienced? Was it meddling from Wizards or some other source like that from, like, you know, other people that have an IP, or Hasbro even in that case, because they have an IP. There's a lot of questions that we might not know as to why the game was a little bit of a mess. but it was, unfortunately.
Apparently Sweet Baby helped on this game.
Ooh, that name is familiar, but I can't remember.
Sweet Baby, they're the people who like make everything politically correct in games, that like makes, but also seems to make every game they have an interaction with like just suck. For example, I'm pretty sure Concord had their involvement. I'm pretty sure, like let me try and think. There's been a lot, like
side note about that
Mass
entire
Effect.
thing. Yeah, the entire thing with Concord. I had a really good quote about it. Is that like things like Overwatch, Marvel Rivals. It's the rule of people are gonna make like adult things about that, pornographic things about that, and want to have sex with the characters. No one cared about the Concord characters. They were background characters. I think someone described them as. And so, I think that's another big reason why they didn't stand out.
Dragon Age Veilguard, the new one that everyone hates.
I gotta be honest, a lot of the people that I like listened to said it was a fine game, but like definitely has some issues that understandably people would dislike it. It's that entire kind of thing of like, it wasn't the same thing as before, but people don't remember the same thing that was before. Like, I heard a conversation about this in the previous Dragon, so it's just interesting. But yeah, no, Dark Alliance, I don't think this is what people wanted. And I think that's the problem. Also, it wasn't what people wanted, and it was a mess. Like, if you were going to play Dritz, having maybe like some kind of, as we said, action RPG, hack and slash, dungeon crawl kind of thing with the Dritz things, where you're like adventuring too. It felt like just, it was like, you know, going against bosses and stuff, but it also felt like, I'd seen that they like some of these things that they talk about, like, the article from Gamer, basically, they rated it pretty low, because they describe the enemies you go up against dull and lifeless, which is an interesting thing, because there are some really cool designs in D&D monsters, but if you don't animate them or show them off really well, they kind of suck, you know? I can see that being a problem. They gave it a 2 out of 5. So, really, the mixed review on Steam. It's unfortunate. Again, I feel bad people worked on this. But
like, it had a lot of potential, but
it also feels like no one has actually worked on it for some time, too. Since the last update before this one on their Twitter was in March 2022. So it would have been like a year later for the expansion. But yeah. So, if you own it and the DLC, you can still play it, but yeah, if you don't, it's gonna go away.
Yeah, I don't know, like, because of the thing, like, Sweet Baby Inc. is involved in so much in the community that I'm like, there's games that they work on. It's like every game that they work on that has a big political correct bent seems to suck. But any game that they help work on that doesn't seems to be fine. I don't know what their actual deal is, but they have a lot of issues. And I know that a lot of stuff they touch has problems. I think it depends on how much the team interacts with them.
I think that one of those things is you want side tangent for a minute. And there's going to be a great side tangent that's related to this. You can want things that are stuff like, you know, making things more inclusive, making things more, you know, like having a more diverse, you know, basis of gender, nationalities and stuff like that. That's great. I think the problem is you have to make it natural for it to work. And if you force it and you don't make it natural, it feels weird. You know? Yeah. That's the thing, is it's natural in the real world, make it natural in your content.
Yeah.
You know? And maybe they're a little bit more forceful on how they present things, and I think that's where maybe the problem might come.
I think, well, yeah, part of the issue is there, I think it does depend a lot on the developers and stuff too. And how they implement, like, what they recommend. But, like, I feel like there's also just this thing where it's like, you know, the majority of games they have a say in do terribly, but also it's just, I don't know, it's just how I don't know, it's like I I don't know enough about the company, but I just know that like every thing they seem to touch has terrible ends up being terrible.
This does remind me of something D&D related that I have becoming more and more aware of as I've been doing videos and stuff on it. I've been dealing with and looking into talking about the Dark Lords of Ravenloft, and I'm actually surprised. Well, not surprised necessarily. So, here's the thing: Dark Lords upgrading them for the real world, for more modern day. Great. You might tweak around things with lore, with the world, make it a little bit more interesting. That's the things you expect to do, right? Also, there was a distinct lack of any kind of diversity in a lot of the ways that they presented Ravenloft Dark Lords. You know, here's the thing that I've kind of noticed, and here's the thing I have complained about. Not that they have done things like messed around with characters, whether they're ethnicities or gender in some cases. I think that's fine. I just think, here's what I'm going to put about it. In the Ravenloft example, they've been tying them to the old characters. And I think that's a mess. Because then it's sort of like, are they connected to the old characters, or are you just taking their names? Because I literally the other week talked about a character who they basically, it was Pieter, and they renamed her to Pietra. And it was a completely different character, may I know you. But it was like the same exact name, so there's some themes to say. And the new character,
Oh, your microphone. Yep.
I did. Died somewhere in the middle of my...
It did.
I didn't hear it this time, which is unusual. I noticed. I fixed it earlier. But, anyway, what I was saying is, if you missed some of that, I was complaining about in the Ravenloft thing, where not that they didn't change like ethnicities and gender of some of the characters. I feel like that's not necessarily a bad idea. But what they did is they tied it intrinsically in a lot of ways to the old characters, and then it's like it's comparing the two of them and connecting the two of them in ways, and then you ask questions about like, well, if I know the old lore, how are these connected? If you're ignoring the old lore, that's kind of insulting to people that like the old lore and have been fans of it. Just make new characters. You know, the pirate captain, ruler of the Sea of Sorrows, is really cool. Don't have her have the exact same name as the other one because it confuses the two of them together. Just make a new character. Why the same name? Virtually. By having them basically the same name, it connects. I got off topic a little bit there of my like.
Okay.
You could have done some things a lot cooler, and you didn't, and you just took like an easy way. So screw you.
I found a list of their games and how involved they were, and this actually says a lot. The games that they did script writing for suck, but the games that they were just a like consultant on, such as Alan Wake 2, did fine.
Okay.
So it's like, yeah, they just like, you know. So it's like, yeah, that seems to be the big thing is like, basically when they're basically like, if they are given the ability to actually do script writing, it seems that like.
They're not very good story writers.
Their story. Also, I think another way of putting it is they're story writers that push the agenda so hard that it's like cringe, or you know,
it's unnatural.
Yeah, it's unnatural. That's a good way of putting it. But like, if they're just like, hey, review our stuff to make sure that like we're not being too terrible, that seems to be the game. Those games seem to be okay.
It's exactly the kind of thing I was talking about, like that. You know, it's not necessarily bad to have, you know, inclusion and make sure you're not insulting people and all those kind of things, and like make a very diverse world. But it has to feel like a real world. I think and this is something I think about. The best way to make all of this to normalize all of this isn't to push the agenda and make these people special or unique or better, but to just make it inclusive and
like seamless and just treat them as normal people.
I also think it's sort of like, at very least, I know like the hindsight thing of like talking about like lore and stuff. I think it's one of the reasons I think Pathfinder and Paizo do a really good job on talking about a lot of different cultures and different types of people and stuff like that. It was generally speaking already built into their world. They just are like expanding on it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like, yeah, I understand that, like, you know, old lore from like D&D, where, like I was saying, Ravenloft, it was done in like the 80s and 90s. It's a different time, and it's very there's a lot of unintentional problems, you know, from the way that people present stuff a lot of times, or stuff that would have been fine at that time period. It's a mixed bag of that kind of stuff, but yeah, and you know, it's a lot of like random Eastern European guys in Ravenloft as Dark Lords. Anybody can be a villain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, don't hire them to write for you if you're making a game, but hiring them to overlook your stuff might not be the worst.
Yeah. but back to, unfortunately, the death knell of Dark Alliance. I don't know how long they've been. They might not have actually, because we can't tell if they've had any major updates recently. They just might not have had any big support since things came. They got the initial release. They got the DLC, which is $20 too. It's a pretty hefty DLC, and I'm like looking at it. Echoes of the Blood War, which did add some dungeon levels and 2 new characters. Not durable, but again, like I feel like it just wasn't a lot to the game. There were just problems with it.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of the problems were gameplay. Which, funny enough, Sweet Baby would have nothing to do with it. I just found it funny that they worked on it. So that was kind of a tangent. Because Sweet Baby doesn't do mechanics, they just do writing.
And at this point in time, it's sort of like, it's been long enough, and it feels like the project's dead enough that they just haven't supported it. So.
Yeah.
I think for the fact
is... like, I sorted reviews by recent, by how recent it is, and it still says there's major issues and bugs.
Yeah. So, hasn't been fixed, sorry to say, and yeah, so it's going away, which I think, I gotta be honest, that one there just, I'm not a fan of that kind of thing, where the game just goes away completely. It's I'm all for, like, especially because we are in an age of less physical games and stuff, having them in a place still up on Steam or something like that is for the best.
You'll be able to get this game online still. I think
yes, but it becomes harder though. I think it's not that you couldn't find it, but legitimately find it. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I think will kind of die a little bit. It's just, you know, preservation stuff, which I find is a interesting thing. Anyway, Dark Alliance going away. Do you have anything else to add to the death knell of Dark Alliance?
No, I'm good.
Let's talk about Mythcraft then. So, have we talked about Mythcraft before? I don't remember if we did or not.
It rings a bell, but maybe not.
Okay, so I'm going to link to their main site. I'll also link to their backer kit, because they are going to be putting out an enhanced edition. So this is an interesting thing, because it is kind of like an updated reprint, but it doesn't sound like it's like a full new version. And let me just see when Mythcraft came Did I get that? Oh. Release date. It was released on March 15th, 2023. Originally. It looks like the original release of Mythcraft. So it's only a couple years old. And it looks like for the Enhanced Edition, which I linked there, I guess waiting back for kit is going to go live in 9 days. It's not only a reprint, it's VTT support, and some new loot they sent. So I don't know what the full Enhanced Saga will entail, and how it's different than, the thing. But I mean, it's at this weird spot where I'm like, I guess if it's getting more people to purchase it from the first place, great. But it has only been 2 years, and it doesn't feel like a new version. So I'm not...
So what's going on? So there's first edition stuff. So they're making a second edition? Is that what's going on?
They call it an Enhanced Edition.
Got it.
Yes.
I hate that every single RPG hates using understandable versioning. Why does every RPG have terrible versioning?
Yes. So it will have a ton of extra content, and enhanced editions of releases already out on them, as well as they're going to re-release enhanced editions of their other products that they've already out. But an enhanced edition doesn't tell me how much of an actual new edition it is. It seems weird. Yeah. Okay, so it will introduce 3 new new adventures. I found another article on this too. Sort of extra information about some of their release information. I mean, like, the VTT support, that's good. Roll20 Foundry. And it's got action point systems, backgrounds, occupation professions, 5 sources of magic, dismissive character options, 18 lineages, 13 classes, 2,000 talents, 340 spells. That's good, but also might not be good. That might be, it's like that kind of thing of like, I haven't experienced enough of the system to know how much is too much or how much is too little in that one. But again,
I mean, in their main book, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, like 18 races. And they have cleric.
I assume it's because they've put out...
Yeah,
I assume they put out more books, and they are saying that they're going to put enhanced versions of the other books, too, eventually. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they have the... Also, they're all on sale on DriveThru RPG right now.
Ooh. I guess since the new thing is coming out soon, they'll put the old ones on sale.
They only have like a few books. So I'm not sure like how many more. Like I don't see any like extra races or anything like that in here.
Let's try to check these because they said they're other. On their site, they've got Quick Start, Legends of Mythcraft, Pre-Built Character Guide, Creature Compendium, Mythcrafter's Guide Rulebook, and First Edition Core Rulebook. So maybe just the Mythcrafter's Guide Rulebook added some things.
Yeah, they only have like 3 or 4 books.
I guess that doesn't make it easy to make enhanced editions of the ones they have.
Yeah. Yeah, they have the Creature Compendium, Mythcrafter's Guide, and Core Rulebook. That's it.
Yeah. So yeah.
I'm dumb. There's a bundle for this.
They will have some adventures based for 1 to 4 gameplay sessions, printed both in printed zines and PDFs. We use the word zine. God, this is a book. I guess it kind of is a zine, but And that's very much traditional to the RPG community, but I'm like, we don't have to call it zines anymore. We don't. That's not what they are, like the same way that they were. We can just call them books. Come on now.
Zines are supposed to be something else, though, too, aren't they?
They're supposed to be very... They were like
back in the so zine, fun fact, zine is just short for magazine. So basically it was it was basically putting out magazines. And
they were like self-published kind of magazines.
Some of them were, and that's generally the term was that the ones that were self-published were generally called zines. But that's the thing, is in some cases, like, you know, Dragon magazine could have been called a zine too. So it's like it's vague.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not, like, they don't have a lot here. They basically just have, like, the core books.
So, here's the one thing that I'm going to say screams at me. This is why they're doing it in a lot of ways, which reminds me of 3.0 to 3.5. 3.0 was a mess. 3.5 didn't fix all that mess, but they made it mainly because it was still a mess, you know? They threw something together, threw it out, and then the playtesting of the community found problems. They say, like, it's got a new cover, upgraded how-to-play guides, gorgeous artwork, and here's the one that says, thousands of edits and updates for even smoother gameplay experience. That tells me, in the last 2 years, they've learned of a lot of little issues with the public playtesting their thing for a longer period of time. You know?
Yeah. And that's fine, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I own the original books now. It's kind of interesting because, like, they have a magic system that's arcane, divine, occult, primal, and psionic. So they have like 5 sources rather than. Yeah, I don't know. Seems like a neat book. Probably never gonna play it. I'd love to play like all these random stuff, but I'd need like a really good consistent group to do something like that.
It's hard to get together consistently. I think that's the kind of thing it is.
One day.
That would also be a goal for me, is finding a group of people that I can call upon for various games, or at least a larger pool of people to call upon, you know, so that I can, like, when I throw it out to the pool, I can. It's a lot easier than fishing around and seeing, like, a couple of people, maybe. You know? It's the difference between fishing around to, like, 7 people and, like, 20 people. You know? Yeah. One group is more likely. I mean, again, like, I'm not necessarily against enhanced editions and, like, re-releases and kind of things like that. I would hope it was just because they found a lot of issues with their stuff that require this edit more than anything. You know, it's sort of like... I guess when it is effectively a re-release of mostly the same thing, I tend to be a little cautious. I think I've been that way since 3.0 to 3.5, I'm not going to lie. Because I bought all of 3.5 stuff, and I was like, well, it's good and better, but yeah, I had to rebuy books, kind of thing like that, you know? So that's why I guess I've personally always been a little bit cautious on that, to be like, is there enough here? Because I've definitely been feeling that more in the last year with, you know, Pathfinder having their remaster, and then, you know...
Pathfinder Remaster, I would say, funny enough, I would actually say no, outside of the core. Well, yeah, I would say no for the Pathfinder one.
It was done for a different reason than, like, this kind of stuff.
That's very true, though. It was done because D&D kind of basically made everyone not trust their benevolence.
Yeah. Yeah. And then having us with now, like, 5.5 out, and it's fine. But, yeah, you know...
5.5, I feel like was a like, yes, we needed an update, but we didn't need one so badly that you need to shoehorn and undercut it for the 50th anniversary. Yeah.
I think I agree with that one. I think that's what my entire take on 5.5 is. And I think this getting its, you know, its 1.5 release, at least it feels like, reading through it and getting a lot of those little details about how they talked about it, it does feel like they wanted to basically spiff things up. But again, like, I do have that. I guess, again, just with the entire 5.5 block, is a little bit more hesitant on these updates.
Generally, I don't find them too bad. As long as there's a reason. Like 5.5, I actually think 5e was due for a revision.
I agree with that. It was 10 years.
Yeah, but it should have gotten a revision, actually, and they even basically said, oh, it's just going to be a revision. But instead, they did a complete overhaul and screwed everything up.
So yeah, if you are interested in Mythcraft, you can check out the previous versions. As we said, they were on 7 Drive for RPG, and the new enhanced version, if you want to wait for that, it will be launching in more like 10 days. It's 9 days, 18 hours from the back. So.
I do find it weird that it's on sale on Drive-Thru-RPG right now, but not on their website.
That could be a holiday sale from Drive-Thru-RPG.
Probably. You're actually probably right about that.
Yeah. That does make me feel like that's probably. Alright. So, I am unsure if we talked about this one. Hey, it's another one of those kind of things that I'm like, did we talk about this?
Yeah, I don't think we've talked about Mythcraft, by the way.
Obojima, Tales from the Tall Grass, which is a 5e setting. So it is taking the 5ES.
We did talk about this one before. I'm 100% certain of that.
Okay, cool. That one I was unsure if we talked about, but it is officially.
I remember the woman standing on the fish skull.
Oh, okay. Well, again, that's good. So again, we probably talked about it back when it was on Kickstarter. So that would have been a while ago now, maybe earlier this year, last year.
No. So it was August 2023. So basically a year and a half ago.
Wow, quite a while.
Yeah.
Now they did have an estimated delivery of September of this year, so I'm assuming they got everything out because they have opened up on their Kickstarter page, which I linked there, a pre-order for getting the book. Which I think takes to your site. It does. So yeah, they ended up raising $2.6 million on Kickstarter. That was that, and yeah, there we go. It was, the campaign ended on 8/31/2023. So they have a hardcover book that's on pre-order for $50, PDF for $30. PDF now, or just with the? No, it's still on pre-order. So they haven't released everything properly yet, but again, it's good to see a product taken successfully to market. And they've got a lot
I
of
don't remember if I back this or not. I back some things we do.
I back a few things here and there. Not as much as you, but I do back a few things, and I understand this. Did I back that? When did I back that? What's going on here? That question in my brain happens.
I actually wish they had a page on Kickstarter and BackerKit that was basically just, here are the things that you back. Mm-hmm. And not even like, well, okay, actually they do have that. Actually I just found it. Give me 1 second. That would have been
well, I'm not logging in.
October, February. No, I did not back this one.
Okay. But it's going to be $50 for the hardcover book, $30 for PDF. So pretty standard for kind of core books. And again, I guess if you want to see our old thing about it, we talked about it last year in like a year and a half ago. You know, I'm sure we did wonders discussing it. Me remembering, I'm like, again, it's that after like a year and a half, I'm like, we talked about that, right? It's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice to see something like more like very Studio Ghibli style. Yeah. Yeah. And it's an update then from what we talked about. Hey, it managed. to do a. They were successful. All right.
Yeah.
Here's the one that you, as an old Yu-Gi-Oh player, I kind of wanted to chat about you about a little bit.
Yes, I saw this, and there's a few things that my brain goes, like, depending on what this could be, it could be very weird or very
I
good.
looked up what this was, apparently, because I know nothing about Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, I know a little bit about it. I don't know anything about their rarity. But apparently, like, this quarter-century secret rare has been a thing for, I guess, this 25th anniversary of Yu-Gi-Oh! They're kind of celebrating. And they introduced it, and they're getting rid of this rarity, which, okay, I didn't even know about existing and stuff like that. It's like, what a weird one. Apparently the Alliance Insight is going to be the final chance to get a one.
Okay. I didn't know about this either, actually.
Yes. Yeah, I'm looking it up on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Yugi-Pedia. A quarter-century secret rare, also called 25th secret rare card, is a secret rare card that is identified as having a speckled holographic champagne gold card name, the watermark of Yu-Gi-Oh! Card Game 25th quarter-century logo in the middle of the card text. Full treatment of the entire card surface. It's nearly identical to the 20th secret rare apparently they had. So I guess this is a thing they do every 5 years, or maybe not every 5 years. I guess, like, you celebrate 20 and 25 usually, but after that...
Okay, so this is more the foiling. Okay. Yeah, I've... yeah,
like,
I might... Let's see, I'm kind of curious about different rarities.
Apparently they were introduced in the Japanese and Korean markets of the game in February and March 2023 respectively.
Oh, then yeah, I would not know about this.
And then in the US market, it was April of 2020. Again, I'm guessing because it's the 25th anniversary. It's really Yu-Gi-Oh! That... I guess I say that, is really Yu-Gi-Oh! That old?
Yeah, it's the 2000s. Maybe even earlier.
No.
Okay, I do have some secret... I do have a few secret rares. I just don't have anything more than that. Then there's gold secret rare, then quarter century secret rare.
Yeah. I need the card game. Thank you very much. I found the, like... I found the version of this that is, like, the TV-related stuff, not the... Oh, hello.
Hello.
1999. It was released in Japan in 1999.
Okay. That makes sense.
And then in America, March 2022. Or sorry, not 2022, 2002.
What did I do? I broke stuff. Oh.
Nice.
Oh yeah, where's your camera?
I clicked on stuff and I didn't realize stuff I did. Anyway, it's fine. Okay, so yeah, it really is like 25 years old, Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay, cool. I guess that... You know, I'm not gonna lie. Learning that they did this seems like so much better of any kind of anniversary thing that someone did for the, like, the Magic stuff, you know? This makes me hate the stuff they did for Magic even more, knowing that, like, at least Yu-Gi-Oh! For, like, a year put out, like, its special secret foily cards that have it's the 25th anniversary on it.
Yeah, that's kind of neat.
I mean, you know, Magic got $1,000 proxies.
That was a thing they did.
But welcome, Momo.
Hello.
Yes. We were just talking about how, I guess, appropriately after the 25th anniversary, they are discontinuing their 25th anniversary special foils in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
I have some secret rares, but gold secret rares and quarter century secret rares were both released after I stopped collecting Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Okay. I'm just gonna say, like, as much as I get confused, especially nowadays with Magic's rarity kind of things, especially with all the weird extra prints and special prints and stuff like that they've been doing in collectors more often, Yu-Gi-Oh! Always confused me a lot more.
I need to learn the more recent rules. The problem is I also just know it's not fun anymore because like most good decks are like you either win in 2 turns or you lose. Like most games, if like it's done right, you win or lose in like a few turns. So it's like
Yeah.
it doesn't sound like a very fun game at that point.
That was my experience trying out one of the recent-ish digital formats that they had on PC. I'm like, man, I hate this.
Yep.
Ooh, I mean,
It's like the
granted,
power creep just got so bad to where it's like it's just you win or lose a game with
you
like
can
your,
win
your top like
pretty,
10 cards. And
you
it's
can
like,
win pretty fast in Magic, but it's like, man, they really did make a card game around winning on turn 2.
yeah. It used to never be that way, and that's
Yeah, I
what's
remember
annoying.
because I played it a very long time ago. I don't remember any of the rules. 'Cause I have like the worst memory for rules.
I always wanted to make a burn deck, but I never bothered.
I could probably old Yu-Gi-Oh! Pull off knowing a little bit, because I know some general things. And you know what? It's from the animated series. And I know that that's not completely correct on how the game is played, but I know there's a lot of similarities.
They used actual. So here's the thing: the first season, the Island Saga or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
That's before the game was actually invented. That was basically the anime. Then they like during that, I think they like made the card game because it like everyone wanted it. And then the next season, the one, or I don't know if it's season 2 or 3 or whatever. I don't remember if that arc's 2 seasons or 1. But then that one, they start using actual rules. Basically, when they get the dual discs, that's when they start using actual rules.
See, again, I could probably understand a degree of what's going on but I also know like the game has evolved rapidly since that way in a lot of ways, and I think it's that weird thing of I've kept up enough to understand the evolution within Magic, but I definitely can see like when you watch some people play nowadays, you're like, yeah, things have changed a lot since the beginning of it. I can understand how like Yu-Gi-Oh's gone really weird, like massive direction.
I understand the rules basically up to Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. After that, which is when they get into like the I forget what it's called, pendulum stuff, and I just get lost.
Well, I mean, now's your last chance if you want some of these quarter-century secret rares. The last set is going to be coming out relatively soon. Yeah, it looks like it's launching in the end of April and into May. And that'll be the end of their 25th anniversary celebration.
Yeah.
Well, last of our main...
I would love if Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually, like... Are you okay, Momo?
I'm good. I had to run up a flight of stairs real fast.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm a little tired, a little winded.
I was very confused because I'm like, why are you breathing so? Are you having like a panic attack or something?
Had to run up a flight of stairs to grab something that someone forgot to grab.
Okay.
I wish Yu-Gi-Oh! Would get his shit together so I could enjoy it.
Same. No,
that's
honestly,
my opinion.
Honestly, I'm glad I got out of it when I did, but because like, I mean, technically, I stopped playing while they were doing GX, so I never actually experienced the sequence summoning or something summoning, which was like the 5Ds one, but I at least know the rules. And then yeah, then they got to the pendulum stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah, the 5Ds era Yu-Gi-Oh! Is exactly when I stopped playing.
Okay. I stopped playing before that, but at least I kept up with it kind of through that a little bit.
I did continue to watch the animes, which did not help, because They don't play the game correctly in the anime.
It's a weird thing.
In most of
because,
them,
like,
at least.
They actually do for the most part.
It's just like,
I
I
know.
guess, little things about it that are wrong, probably.
It's I
They
mean,
make
it's, at the
mistakes,
end of the
yes,
day,
but-
it's an adaptation.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it came out first, to be fair.
I think it became this point in time where it was the original source, but eventually became the adaptation as the game took off more on its own and kind of evolved into its own thing. Because I'm sorry, like, are they still doing any Yu-Gi-Oh anime at this point in time? They might be.
I'm pretty sure they are.
I'm pretty sure
I
there's
know.
one slated for next year.
Maybe. I guess
The
it's sort of
current
like,
one is Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush.
I'll guess I'll put it on the same level as Pokemon keeps putting out anime, that you are just
but,
sort
like,
of there.
Pokemon anime are good. I will maintain that opinion.
I have heard that the latest one is pretty good. And they had a pretty good send off for finally retiring poor.
I have a lot of trouble with Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime of being like, man, was that the anime or was that Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged? Because they've kind of merged together in my brain.
So after Yu-Gi-Oh, it was Yu-Gi-Oh GX, then Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds, then Yu-Gi-Oh Zexal, then Yu-Gi-Oh Arc V, then Yu-Gi-Oh Vrains, then Yu-Gi-Oh Sevens, and now Yu-Gi-Oh Rush.
These are not real words.
Along with 3
They-
movies.
Yes.
Man, it's a franchise. I mean, you look at Pokemon, it's just as fucking bad.
Yeah.
At least with
Yep.
Pokemon, the video game came first.
Yeah.
It's true. And they're at least consistently okay.
Yeah. So got one more main topic to talk about. We can dive into it, and it's hey everybody, we got a demon Primarch.
This one's like pretty important.
This is what the
This is the
fourth thing
fourth
done?
demon Primarch
that they've done in miniatures for.
that they've done miniatures for. These have all existed in Horus Heresy in some degree for a while, which is the 30k game,
Yeah.
which I have zero experience with, but damn, do the miniatures look good. Every time I
this
see
is the
them.
guy. This is the guy that I keep seeing memes for. Got
Just
it.
a snake guy.
Yeah, I've seen like a bajillion memes for him recently, and
Yeah, people don't like the face on the model, but I think it's fine. It's Fulgrim, everyone's favorite. I mean, he's kind of like a hedonistic drama queen. That's kind of his whole shtick. The Slanesh is finally properly represented in the tabletop for 40k. We have all 4 demon Primarchs. Technically, there's 2 more, but they're not servants of one god. They're a different faction, technically, called Chaos Undivided, which is a whole mess right now.
Gotcha.
Because they're probably not going to bring those guys back because they don't want to take away from the current 2 Chaos Undivided characters that people really like.
So what that makes that there are only like 8 Primarchs left in the.
So there's 18 Primarchs total, technically 20, but 2 of them don't really exist because 2 of them were designed to not exist.
And then 9 and 9 for the
9 and 9. 2 of each is dead, kind of, because you got Sanguinius and Ferrus Manus. Loyalists are dead. They cannot be brought back. If they do, that's a huge lore mistake. On the traitor side, Horus is dead, and Conrad Kurz is maybe dead. He's currently dead, but it's like weird because no one likes the character.
Yeah, it's weird enough. No one likes the character, but if there was,
and they could bring him back if they wanted to.
Yeah, okay.
But it's like Night Lords are like the least popular Chaos faction for a lot of reasons.
Okay.
Mainly because they're literal terrorists who skin children.
Oh, yeah, no,
there's a reason why people don't like them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Their rules are also, like, consistently the worst.
Okay. So, who's the 7th, then, in the Demon Primarchs? So they mentioned
So
you mentioned the 6.
The 2 Demon Primarchs we're missing are Lorgar of the Word Bearers, and we're missing Pertriabo of... God, I think it's Iron Warriors.
It's Iron Warriors. I'm looking at
Because there's Iron Warriors and Iron Hands, and I mix them up all the time.
It's Iron Warriors. I'm looking at a Wikipedia page right now.
They're basically the same faction.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the 2 we're missing. I don't think we're going to get them anytime soon, because they're not particularly popular characters.
And Games Workshop sucks.
It also takes Games Workshop like 20 years to tell a story.
Okay, so this comes to be an interesting point of, like, we know a lot about these Demon Primarchs, and it's cool that we're getting Fulgrim, and Representation Slash. I only knew that, like, on the loyalty side, 2 were technically around in the lore now. What happened to the other 5 then? If 2 are dead.
I gotta pull this up. Hold on.
Because we just have...
okay, I know. So, Guilliman and the Lion are back.
And Lionel,
officially back.
Yeah.
I have to find... Because there's a chart that says where they're at somewhere.
Yay, chart.
Okay.
This is a confusing mess. I'm sorry.
So,
this is an excuse to dive into.
Jagatai Khan, he's a loyalist. He's off in the webway clapping Drakari booty because he's an asshole or something. I don't know. He's doing something in the webway, killing people. Lehman Russ became really sad, went into the warp to like kind of think for a bit.
Okay.
He's the most likely to return next because 1, Space Wolf's very popular. 2, he's the easiest to just be like, oh, he came out of the warp. He's a cool guy now. Either he's going to be an Odin-like figure, or they're going to do the meme and make him a wolf. And I don't want them to do that. Space Wolves already have the unfortunate connotation of being furries.
Like, I guess it's the connotation in a bad way, not the cool way.
It's like kind of meme. 40k fans are the best at beating dead memes into the ground.
Gotcha.
And you can only hear the lol Space Wolf furry so many times before it triggers you.
Gotcha.
Space Wolf furry.
Ruggle Dorn is believed to be dead, though he's probably not.
Okay.
Sanguinius is actually dead. He died in the Horus Heresy. Bringing him back would like be a super big lore fuck up because his death was really important.
Yeah.
Ferrus Manus decapitated by Fulgrim. He's just dead. Bringing him back would be kind of funny, but I don't see why they can really do that. Gilliman's back, obviously. Vulcan is currently dead, but he's immortal, so he'll come back eventually.
All right, then.
He's perpetual. That's a whole thing I don't want to get into. Everyone hates the perpetual stuff. Perpetuals are people who will die and then eventually just come back. It's a plot point that no one likes in the 40k fan base. It's a cop-out.
40k!
It's really dumb. And then Corvus Corax is also in the warp.
The other crow guy?
He's the crow guy.
Okay, the crow guy.
And then the ones for the traitor legions that are dead, Horus is obviously dead. He can't come back. His soul got obliterated. He experienced true death.
Yeah.
Lorgar is doing stuff in real space, but they haven't really talked about him yet. Alfarius Omegon of the Alpha Legion. Fuck if I know. They're confusing as shit. That's the guy with the book that's like, my name's Alfarius, this is a lie.
Oh god, that guy.
He's purposely confusing. I don't like him.
Mm-hmm.
But currently, I think they're both said to be dead, but who the fuck knows? So the Primarchs are a mess.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they're very slowly bringing them back.
Why are there 2 that are just redacted?
So those were the redacted ones exist, so you could make custom Space Marine legions.
Got it.
That's what they were originally intended for. Games Workshop kind of pulled back from that a little bit, but that's still their main purpose.
Got it.
Like
one would be so you could make loyalists, one so you could make traitors.
Yeah. From what I've heard, like in-game lore-wise, it's sort of like they they're kind of gone,
Mm-hmm.
and I know like there's like I can never remember his name. the weird mage guy that was at the Emperor's
Malkador.
Malkador.
Malkador the Sigillite.
Malkador knew everything and he told people yeah, don't fucking ask about that shit. You don't want to know. Stuff happened.
Real weird because it gets just that bit alone is fine, but when you look at the wider context of 40K, what did these two do that was worse than Horus?
Yeah, good point. But I mean, I guess by the time you get to 40K, Horus and his existence isn't the same way, and people's
I don't Horus is kind of erased from existence. To be fair,
I guess it's kind of the same way in the lore, but not quite as there are probably people that know it, so it's less fully erased. I guess is the weird thing,
people know the heresy happened. If you're a space marine, you know it happened. The average citizen doesn't know shit.
What's this whole thing about rediscovery?
So rediscovery is when they come back, kinda.
Because because I know there's also big robots and stuff that are lost and they find and stuff. Is it kind of like that where it's they went and disappeared and then now and some are coming back?
Yeah, the lion was found by I think the Dark Angels literally found him awake, which is I haven't read that book yet. It's kind of on my list. I heard it's very good. But yeah, that would kind of be the rediscovery stuff.
Mm-hmm. Because I just remember one of them was found and the other one was suspended animation, released, something like that.
Yeah, Gilliman was in suspended animation, so he didn't die from a wound. It's a complicated mess. And it's good that they're not bringing them all back at once, and they're giving time to explain who the hell these people are.
Yeah. So,
I mean, Horus, and just okay, this is gonna sound dumb, but
ahead.
Horus killed the Emperor, right? That was the whole heresy.
Kinda. The Emperor's dead, but also not really dead.
Well, I know he's been dead for a while, but he's still being fed psychers to keep the
warp
in check or something.
Horus's whole deal was he rebelled against dear old dad because he thought he saw a vision, because visions are everywhere in the Horus heresy, where the Emperor was planning to become a god, and Horus saw visions of a skeletal figure in the Emperor's armor sitting upon a golden throne because he was shown this vision while he was wounded. You're gonna see you see what it's getting at. Horus made that happen.
Got it.
That's it. 40K has a lot of visions. People get shown visions in 40K, and then they end up making that vision come true because they try to stop it.
That is very... Oh gosh, what is the... Yeah, there's a term for that.
I don't mind that storytelling, but it is kind of man, just chill a little bit.
In fact, Greek stuff is all about that.
If I do apologize, Chad, if I get things wrong. The Horus Heresy is 50 goddamn books. I've not read all of them yet. I've read 10 of them.
So you got now representation.
The more important thing, Fulgrim being back is a big buff for playing Emperor's Children, because Demon Primarchs are very strong on the tabletop. They cost a lot of points to play, but they are pretty strong. You can kill a lot of dudes with one Demon Primarch. And I believe now the points will add up that you could just run an army of 4 Demon Primarchs, and that's horrifying.
They briefly team up just because they're pissed off about somebody. Someone pisses off all of them so much that they're because I get the feeling that they probably dislike each other.
Oh, they all hate each other.
Yeah, so they're they briefly team up just to murder you because you somehow pissed them all
pretty
off.
Much plays this thing called the Great Game for influence. They'll work together occasionally, but most of the time Chaos is fighting itself.
Yeah, the term is self-fulfilling prophecy, which is obviously has turned into a phrase because of the concept.
Just to be extra clear, the current Demon Primarchs back are let me scroll down a little bit to get the names. Magnus the Red is back. He is for Thousand Suns. Mortarion is Death Knights. What is Mortarion? I always forget. Death Guard. Angron is World Eaters. And then Fulgrim is Emperor's Children, which is Slanesh. So we all have all four gods are represented on the tabletop. Finally, after way too long, because again, Games Workshop kind of is very slow at doing this kind of stuff.
Here's the question, because I guess it matches. Do either the loyal Primarchs have miniatures themselves?
Lion and Gilman both have miniatures.
Okay.
Do any of the gods or the demons like Slaanesh and have miniatures, or
they're powerful? They're powerful demons have miniatures, but there's no actual canonical physical representation of any of the Chaos Gods.
Okay.
I feel
you kind of get an idea of what they look like from their demons. You can get a good idea what they look like, but any art you see is a fan representation.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
Someone I saw was talking about this, and it's sort of like the thing of they aren't necessarily physical the same way. So it would be if it would come into our world, it would be like an avatar kind of demon rather than actually being.
It would be if it gets to the point where a Chaos God can enter the material, things have gone really badly.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the Emperor, is to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, it would be real bad, considering the birth of Slaanesh basically destroyed an entire civilization.
Yeah, for a description that I guess some people would get, but not everybody, because the thing is if you were playing Stellaris and you controlled the galaxy in a lot of ways, and all of a sudden then your galaxy spanning super empire fell, in the blink of a moment.
This is actually represented really well in Stellaris. Thanks for bringing up. So in Stellaris, when you play a psychic race, you have the option to go into what's it called? Psychic land in Stellaris. I never do it because it's pointless.
It was never good. I don't think.
I don't know what that. It's basically the warp. That's heavily what's based on. But you can go into there, and one of the patrons you can get is called the End of the Cycle. Birthing Slaanesh is the equivalent of doing that path because it killed 90% of the Eldar.
Yeah.
And caused horrible badness throughout the entire galaxy.
Yeah, didn't they bring that about though on purpose?
No, they kind of accidentally brought it about because they the Eldar are a tragic story about what happened when a society reaches perfection and immortality. They start to get bored, and then things aren't as pleasurable or thrilling to them, so they seek more and more.
Okay.
And because the warp feeds off of emotion, the more they sort of indulge themselves, the more unstable it became, until bam, big explosion, snake god.
Yeah. Got it.
Basically, they descended into incredible forms of hedonism and stuff like that.
Extreme it's pretty
degrees.
Bad.
And the survivors were either A, in their little warp way, or B, left because they're this hedonism.
This is getting pretty bad.
Okay, so the chaos, so the chaos gods are basically born of basically people and their emotions and desires.
The warp is basically just heavily influenced by emotion. I don't know how the other three were born. I don't know if it's explicitly said in 40K.
If I had to guess, they were there originally.
There's a lot of before. 40K has a lot of lore that is still from the 80s and 90s. That's very out of date.
Because I also know that I think someone expressed it very well, because the warp represents all the emotions. It's sort of being such a grim, dark galaxy means it's a very terrible place. If somehow everybody in the galaxy were able to become happy-go-lucky, feel great about it, the warp would become a better place. But
yes, if people would stop killing each other and just talk it out like the Tau want to do, things would be a lot less bad.
Yeah. You'd calm the warp down, probably.
Unfortunately, it's going to be pretty hard to do that because the Drakari exist. They're terrible. There's big bugs invading the galaxy that just want to slaughter everything. And then orcs are too stupid to stop. Orcs just want to have fun fighting people. They're never going to stop.
Actually, I would argue that orcs probably do the best job in turning the warp away, because they're doing something kind of.
They do it and they love it. They have a good time.
There's an old quote. I think it's an Eldari quote that's basically like, if the orcs ever developed intelligence, they would wipe out the entire galaxy.
There's only 4 Chaos Gods?
Only 4. There used to be a 5th, but that's not been canon for since 2nd edition.
And there were other god
But
creatures.
there are other gods in the warp. One is currently out about doing stuff. There's a guy named Vashtor, who is kind of like the god of machines, but not the machine gods confusing.
And also there's that weird god that there's the group of Eldar that other Harlequins has or something.
Yeah, there's also I think her
weird.
name is Yanid or something. The Eldari god of death is kicking around. Nurgle has an Eld god in a jar currently.
And then there's also the Necrons have gods that they cut up into pieces.
They've got their
jars.
god shards that the Sun King uses to power his chair.
Yeah.
And then
Also,
there's
the Emperor is arguably a god.
One could consider the Emperor a god.
Yeah, I mean, there's discussions apparently between some of the people look at him and be like, on his way towards that kind of thing.
He's basically worshipped at this point.
He is in fact pretty much because Faith is very much a power in 40k, so he effectively is a deity in his own right. It's one of the reasons I like 40k. 40k is a very satirical media that has a lot of commentary on how the idea that humans inherently need something to believe in to continue existing, whether it be gods or some kind of idea.
You got Fulgrim out.
Fulgrim, my favorite demon Primarch for the only Chaos Space Marine faction I actually cared enough to play.
It's I gotta be honest, it's really cool looking miniature.
He looks cool. I like him.
I am kind of surprised because I feel like Slaanesh is the favorite.
I think Khorne is everyone's favorite at the moment.
You're right, actually.
Khorne just likes to fight people.
Slaanesh is
blood
the
for the blood god, skull for the skull.
No, you're right. You're right.
Slaanesh is probably second.
Once you said it, my brain went actually.
Nurgle's pretty popular.
He is,
but he's kind of gross. And then no one likes Tzeentch.
No one likes Tzeentch.
No one likes Tzeentch.
Yeah, there's something about
Tzeentch is too weird.
I've heard people kind of like. It's just it's because he's kind of Nurgle's got some interesting ideas about him. But yeah, Tzeentch.
Tzeentch is a weirdo.
Shall we get into our deeper discussion topic?
We could do that.
Done our little 40k thing here. So, you brought us this, Momos. Why don't you lead this way?
This goes hand in hand with 40k because this is a big problem in 40k and to a large degree, a lot of war games. Lore versus balance. How do you take a cool artifact and translate that into gameplay mechanics? Because this comes up a lot in D&D and other games. Yep. And I was thinking about this because 5e does this very badly, where it's often in 5e, this is a super ancient sword that killed a god. All in your benefit is it's a +2 attack roll, and that's it.
Yep.
I think in older editions they did that a little bit better, but even still, there are limits to what they've done. At very least, let's say it was the Sword of Kos. The Sword of Kos in 3rd edition is a +5 unholy sword that does this thing and gives you these magical abilities and does this other cool stuff, but also corrupts you to evil. Is that a awesome god-slaying massive artifact thing? It's close. I guess it's better than a lot of magic weapons, but
yeah.
To the ideas of it, it certainly probably doesn't necessarily live up to that. I can kind of say.
Yeah, I'm actually curious about what it is in 5.5 and 5e.
So I know there's 2 ways you can go about this. The 2 extremes are how old editions did it, where every artifact had a page of text attached to it of mechanics, and then 5e has maybe at most a paragraph if it's a super special sword.
Yeah. I don't think it necessarily needs a full thing of lore, but I do think certain ways that it's built work better to have this is what it kind of does. This is its story to a degree. I also like when it's oh, this is the the ways you might have to go about to destroy it or something like that too. I think that's why like Pathfinder, when they present artifacts, they're like you have to go on these like crazy epic quests if you wish to destroy this artifact, or like something incredibly weird. Like I can't. One of the things that might have been 3.5 even, not just Pathfinder, was like you have to like find a Titan and put it in its shoe, this item, and have it walk on it for like a year. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is so weird. But then it will destroy it, It's an interesting story, but it's also like, it's kind of crazy. But it does add a lot of like idea to this epic thing, too. I guess is what I'm saying.
I mean, the Sword of Cass is a good amount of text.
But is it as good as like old edition's version of it?
I mean, let's see.
Or like, I guess the thing is, does it live up to the ideas and hype of the artifact side of the story, the legend of it? Which
honestly, this is the thing. The artifacts in 5e are kind of neat. Like, I mean, for example, one of the things you can do is it's a +3 bonus, so it's the best bonus you can get. It's crit on a 19 or 20. Obviously, it's got issues with, taking you over if you fail saves and stuff.
I think that's, again, like, it's fine. Like a +3 bonus, extra crit, and takes you over.
Yeah, but there's also some fun stuff such as you can add a d10 to your initiative. You can, when you make an attack, you can transfer any or all of its attack bonus to your AC if you choose. It casts a few spells: Finger of Death, Lightning, Divine Word, once per day. It's sentient, personality, crazy stuff to destroy the sword. It must be a wish spell. And then it still gets a save against it.
It's fine. I think I can say it's fine. But I do see where the entire idea of this comes from. Of that you have.
Oh, sorry. You have to make a wish spell with both the Hand of Vecna and the Eye of Vecna and the Sword of Cass all in your possession.
Great.
So, and then it gets a save.
Why is this? Oh, I do.
Anyway, I agree that like it's fine because the +3 is the best you're gonna get in the game. I actually think artifacts could be +4 if you wanted to, like as a GM. You basically be like, yes, this is above and beyond what you can otherwise get.
That does come to what we're saying, like you only balance things out so much with the lore of it because mechanically you will have to balance things out, especially if they become a MacGuffin or item in your game. And again, I think we've talked about this. Artifacts should be some kind of MacGuffin, some kind of special thing. It's not like it's part of the story if you're using something that powerful anyway. But mechanically, someone might be using it. Too.
Yeah. Oh, also in 5.5, you also get resistance to necrotic damage while holding it, and it also does 2d10 extra slashing damage to undead. So it's got both those as well.
They improved it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, sorry.
But it still has all the other drawbacks and stuff. And same issues with destroying it. Yep. Okay. I was just curious about that.
Back to what you were saying.
Yeah. So, oftentimes in 40k, if you are like an Imperium, this is kind of really what spurred it on as I was reading one of the codex for an older edition, and they don't do it much better in 10th, although the relics are a little more worth taking in 10th, because 10th is just a much more streamlined system that is far less based on roleplay, which it has benefits and negatives. The benefit is you don't have to spend an hour arguing about what way your tank is facing. But like often, if you are like Chaos Warband and you take a Chaos Relic, the bonuses are often like you have a certain bit of more movement, certain bit more damage output. They're relatively small, but then you would look at like the lore of some of them, and it's like, this is the sword that stabbed Horus and gave him the awful vision. And then, man, that's like, I don't think you can actually take this, but if it was represented, it would probably be something like not super great. Probably a bit of a damage buff, more wounds on a certain die roll kind of deal. But in 40k, it's often represented as just you roll more dice, or you have a better invul save.
Yeah.
And then in 5e, it's usually represented with pluses. In Pathfinder, it's a goddamn novel to read the mechanics of some of those artifacts.
Oh gosh. Okay, wait, hold on. The sword edition for third edition, the sword of Cass is a +6 unholy keen vorpal longsword.
Sounds about right.
Granting +10 strength.
Yep.
Again, but because like that is an epic level weapon, and they do have rules for getting to epic level, but that's kind of like special rule, rare rules, very hard to, and you know. So as soon as you like talk about that, you're like, oh yeah, that's pretty damn powerful and cool, and it's gonna balance shit like there's no tomorrow unless you're like high level. Time to get to that.
Yeah.
Thing. You're not gonna lie. Even like, you know, like just like it corrupting and evil to you and horrible, like you're like, what am I doing this? And I think that's the thing too, is like it's that entire thing. Is it going to be just nothing burger and just be there and have story kind of things to it? Or is it going to be something cool and epic? And I'm gonna this comes down to I think an interesting story. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm going more. Just in 4th edition, it does an extra. It's +5 vicious sword. I don't remember what that means for that version, but it does an additional 2d10 to if you attack an ally.
An interesting thing that makes me think about this very heavily and how between lore and balance it can be pretty bad. I played in a mage game many years ago. Long story short, I made a character, and I chose to basically have a relic as one of my main things my characters have, like a magical relic, which is, they exist in mage. It's a little weird. It was a background. I spent 5 points on it for something that was pretty powerful. Basically, all I wanted it to be was, because I was trying to figure out how to make my relic, and I talked about my person. I'm like, it's a little bit stronger than that example of a level 4 relic, and I made just like a stronger version of it, and it was a weapon. It was like a cool ass sword. And so I was like, I'm the melee character that's a magic person, but I have to be careful about this because it's a magic goddamn sword, you know? And you have to kind of like figure out stuff to deal with it. So it was an interesting kind of idea about it. You know, that was, I gotta be honest, it was a weirdly, not necessarily mechanically unbalancing, but story-wise could be unbalancing in a mage game because it's a powerful combat item in a mage game, you know? And so it was like that in and of itself. And this was just something that like I'm inventing using general rules as written. Anyway, long story short, my storyteller kind of screwed me over by making it like a corrupting influence on me, which led down a really weird path that I didn't really like ever ended up in the game, so it just stopped. But anyway, for various reasons. Which was like, I think the opposite than like, I gotta be honest, they could have just said like no, then just like screwed me over a little bit, and it kind of felt bad, you know.
So there are a few ways to make things interesting, or so I feel like a lot of problems occur when people make them either just way too powerful or way too weak.
Yeah.
Because, like, if it's just like, here is this sword of heavenly smite, which has killed 5 gods, and it's just a +3 sword, which, you know, and it's a +3 sword, and it's got, you know, it's just got, maybe it just doesn't take damage if it's, what's the term, sundered or something, you know? It's like, the sunder attempts don't work against it. It's like, okay, cool. Or, you know, then you've got like, you know, let's play your D&D 5e, but it's, you get a +6 sword, and it's like, well, this is actually kind of broken because nothing in 5e can handle a +6, you know?
Or, you know, you described the 3rd edition Sword of Khass. Knowing 3rd edition, that is very powerful. That sounds like a powerful artifact. I definitely wouldn't put it in like level 5 character hands. But then again, like, how do you tell that story there with them getting a hold of that sometimes then too? And
this is where I'm going. You have to either do a few things. One, narrow its scope, or two, add drawbacks. Far too many games add drawbacks that are just kind of over the top and ridiculous, that aren't really balancing. It's like, oh, it turns you evil. It's like, well, I don't care. I got this badass sword now. It's like, players aren't going to care about that. Some characters aren't. Some players. But I honestly think narrow in scope is better. Like, it's +6 to undead, or +6 to Vecna,
It's interesting that powerful legendary objects, stuff of like the past and stuff like that, comes up in a lot of like lore of places. Like, I was thinking of Pathfinder has like crashed spaceships on the planet, so you could do something with that. Or again, I think I talked about it. The person that did a video on the Necromunda video game, for which is based on the tabletop war game of the same from 40K. But anyway, in the video game, it's like old tech that people are trying to go find, or something like that, like a lost tech.
It's in Necromunda, you'd be looking for like archaeotech or things like that. And I can't find my Rogue Trader rulebook. Rogue Trader has a lot of relics in it that were translated over and made for 40K.
Yeah, but like, ancient tech is can be very MacGuffin-y, like, 40K has their entire Dark Age of technology and stuff like that, where they had, far more advanced technology that they kind of regressed to after shit happened. In the storyline. And it's even sort of like, hey, there's some stuff that, like, in a lot of lore that stuff happened. I think it's even in 5e, if we talk Forgotten Realms. It was, I'm trying to remember the name of it. Doesn't start with an N. There was the Ancient Kingdom that got, like, level 10 magic and did shit.
Netherese.
Netherese. And that's an ancient, powerful super empire that existed in Forgotten Realms. And so there's stuff left over from them, too, that does exist, technically.
Yeah.
And so, like, MacGuffins, items of power, are built into a lot of these lores and exist. It's a trope in a lot of stories that works and is fine normally, I guess, and when you're telling the story part of it. Because usually then, like, I'm telling a story, I can...
It's when you start playing a game with mechanics that it becomes kind of an issue.
Yeah.
Like, 40K, for example, there are so many weapons that are just like, I poke you, you are ripped apart molecule by molecule in the most horrendously painful way, and you feel all of that, and then you die. I don't know how you make that into a weapon mechanically.
Yeah.
So, I actually have some thoughts on this. There actually is, so if you want to make a weapon extremely powerful, you have to add a catch that that makes it a risk. So the player can activate it, they have a catch, and if they don't fulfill that catch, something really bad happens. So they have to judge when to activate or use it. I think that's a great way to increase a really powerful item.
In the old 40K TTRPGs like Rogue Trader and Dark Heresy, that is how artifacts worked. I don't remember the name of it, but there's a monocle you could acquire, I think, in Rogue Trader that let you read every language in the galaxy, no matter how ancient it was. The downside of this is every time you use it, you would take 1 sanity point worth of... You would take 1, like, insanity point. And eventually, the DM had rules where it's like, if you get to this amount of insanity, I can start messing with you. The monocle doesn't always tell you the truth, and it will push you towards chaos. if you use it too much.
Yeah. And
It's-
like I was just
That
gonna
is
say,
not
like,
a very strong item. That is just to read shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like I think like you could have a +6 sword in 5e, but like to activate it you have to declare an enemy, and if that enemy does not die by the end of the day, your character it takes your life instead or something. Like that could be like one of those things that are like, you know, if the enemy gets away, you know, you have to go hunting it. Like it can push the plot, and it could do other things, you know.
I think that's the thing when we talk about artifacts, how they are more plot point than actual item. But I think it's the thing of this conversation is important because we have to be like, we're bringing it back from that and being like, it still is an actual item. We have to remember
it's still a thing that exists in the world.
Yeah. It is a MacGuffin. It is a plot point. It is still an item and it does shit. And it should feel appropriate to its standing, but also should be built in such a it's that balancing act as we were talking about that you want it to not be too weak but not like so powerful, and it has to be that middle ground where it feels like it lives up to its lore and story and its point of being the MacGuffin in your story, or like the plot point in your story, but also then like somehow not destroy the story, you know.
Like I'm going to mention 40k again, because 40k again has a lot of artifacts and stuff.
Yes.
The way that 40k tends to handle this in role-playing games is most artifacts you find are going to be chaos in nature to some degree. You could find a really cool sword, and this sword does like a lot of damage. There's probably a demon in that sword that's going to tell you to do very bad things. Sometimes the sword is just a demon. There is an artifact where a greater demon pissed Korn off so much that he turned it into an axe and just threw it into space and would land somewhere in the universe.
Goes to show you, just don't piss off Korn.
Korn's kind of an asshole.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, no, it's. I think it's one of those things. Is we did talk about it in the past, but I do want to kind of reiterate. You do have to think hard when you're using these kind of things, and consider the like method, the nature of what you are using in a lot of ways, and build it in such a way that it makes it mechanic. It's like artifacts are cool to use. Objects of lore, power, whatever they are, be they technological, magical, whatever. You just have to be smart about what you're doing.
I tend to, when I do artifacts in D&D, like obviously the ones that don't already exist, because I fun fact, in the Tuesday game, I have given you an artifact, that weird cube made of strange metal triangles. That's a powerful artifact. I don't have mechanics for it because it's just a MacGuffin.
Yeah.
It'll come up in the story later.
It's something that we don't know how to use. We know it's powerful, but we don't know what to do with it, you know. There are some other MacGuffins in that game that I've just thought about that I'm like, I don't know if we've done a lot with them, like the tablets.
Yeah, you kind of just like, we don't want to deal with these anymore, and you put them in a bag.
We did put them in a bag, but I'm also like, we were technically kind of doing something with them. I just remembered now that we talked about that, and I'm like...
Yeah, those would have, if you had pursued those, given you teleport points around the continent. However, it seems people were a little too freaked out by all the mine stuff they were doing. They just kind of got shoved in a bag of holding.
It is like a... I thought I was more involved with that, but I think I haven't really said it.
I think people have forgotten they exist, and it's gotten to the point where they're not that useful anymore.
Yeah.
Because you have an airship you can just use.
Yeah, we kind of moved into a different direction of story.
Kind of got some other stuff going on.
It is a weird point in time where we had something like that, and it just kind of went off on a tangent to its side, where the story evolved in a different direction, but it would have been like an important thing in the story. I do find that like a very interesting point in time for. Plus, these were definitely, I think, the items I feel like you've had in your game have been very useful and interesting. And I think this is something that I can kind of going back to and talking about, like, I think all the artifacty type stuff in Crimson Queen kind of sucked.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
I'm looking up Serathol, Serathtiel. I don't know what the sword that from Scarlet.
that sword was dumb.
It was why did they make it a bastard sword?
Yeah, it's a choice to make your plot required mega weapon an exotic weapon.
You use it two-handed, but still, just make it like a great sword or a long sword. Just make it a long sword, at very least. You know, like
Also, we really didn't use it to its fullest, but yeah, it's also...
I think Joe hit that lady with it one time.
Yes. It's a +4 holy... It's a +4 holy bastard sword, which is basically a +5 total weapon, which is fine.
I mean, it's not a terrible weapon. It's just a terrible weapon type.
Yes.
it's like
it also gets +2.
She made some saves with her.
It's also like sentient, which brings a whole host of problems.
Yeah, I don't mind sentient weapons, but they are a character that you have to think about.
Also,
how
like
that works.
if you got this sword earlier and then you woke it up, I think that would have been cooler than you find it in the cave.
Yeah, I think there's good points in it.
And like, you know, I can understand because of just how short kind of the end of the book was, or the end of the game was.
Yeah.
But like you basically, I didn't even realize it was sentient.
It's like I think they've done this before in Adventure Path, where you find an item and then it wakes up later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
technically that did happen. There was a dagger that turned out to be a familiar.
Yeah, that was a dude.
It was just a weird dude.
That was a guy.
Technically, it's a little animal, but it's like it's a type of Rakshasa.
Oh my gosh, Tantus. Nobody read this. When held in the hand, the sword immediately transforms into the type of blade its owner is most proficient with.
Nice. Kind of funny.
Yep.
Dagger, short sword, long sword, scimitar, falchion, great sword, rapier, or bastard sword.
I'm not gonna lie, like...
This is the problem when you give your item like a book of text.
Yep. That would have been helpful for Joe to know. To be fair, Joe should have read this as well.
Yeah, but like it's fine.
Like, they presented a number of weird artifacts in this book, and I'm just like, really? You know? It was a lot. Like, I'm sorry. The weird blood pool. It's
that was weird. Also, I remember like the way to destroy that was like you have to do this thing, then do this other thing, then do this third thing.
Mm-hmm. You have to. Oh, here it is. I did open the book. To destroy it, you need fresh samples drawn from a Titan, a Demon Lord, an Infernal Duke, an Imperial Lord, and a Mythic Vampire. To be put in a pool simultaneously in the same round. And then a mortal creature that has lived at least 10 times as long as its natural lifespan would normally allow must enter the pool and use its ability to manifest a cast plane shift, moving itself to the negative energy plane. Then it can make a save against this. If it resists, it absorbs the mortal, effectively destroying it via the Sphere of Annihilation. And then you just redo it. So it gets a save against it with a +18 will save.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I'm like, what? What?
Yeah. So, Serathtiel can only be destroyed if Kazavon, after restored to life, or a great worm shadow dragon who worships Zon-Cathon. And so either Kazavon or this whole list of qualifications uses its breath weapon on the blade while Serathtiel is not wielded.
I mean, the Crown Facts was easy. It's destroyed. If struck while unattended by a holy sword forged by once mortal god, the blade terrible is one such blade. I mean, it was really easy. You guys just stole the crown and smashed it. In fact, I did not mind that as a... Oh, sorry, I've got the book over the top.
It was very fun because it gave a fun little conflict at the end where Ivona had to like, overcome this demon because she just summoned into her hands.
Definitely, there were some good story points, but again, that's 3 MacGuffins in this book.
There are 3 MacGuffins, all of which are kind of whatever.
Like,
not really, especially if they all interact with each other properly.
I feel like the pool is the one that doesn't interact very well. It's just an extra MacGuffin at the end of it. Like, the Crown of Fangs and Spherial, I think if they were done, like, the Crown of Fangs and Spherial, their interaction, fine. Spherial, introducing it a lot better, I think that would have been better. As we said, if it was just like a powerful sword you discover in some way and you reawaken its powers or something like that on an epic quest, that sounds a lot cooler. Hey, how about this? Going to that place and rather than, like, purifying it, doing something to, like, redeem the paladin guy who was dead there so the sword regains its power.
Nah.
That would have been really cool.
Nah, you gotta find
its
the
old
cave.
owner.
It's just in that cave.
It's in a cave with, like,
On a rock for some reason. Don't know why it's
with
there.
with a weird cursed guy who's like,
A dude there.
who basically failed Zon Kuthan and turned into a big worm in vengeance,
He was a big worm.
And then they're also like, and by the way, Thessalonian like artifact that, which again, the Everdawn pool has story reasons, just not here. It is an important Thessalonian artifact. Why is it here? Because someone decided it to be here.
I feel like you could write that a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just important when making these is that, like, yes, there's the mechanics, which are important, but also,
Just gotta think of why they're there.
Yeah. I mean, they just have to make sense, and that's the thing. You can have a weaker weapon, a weaker artifact. Just don't make it wielded by a god,
Yeah.
Don't make your +2 short sword that deals 1 extra damage to undead be the former weapon of the god of holy light, Yeah,
make it like Maglet, the great kobold hero who once slaughtered an army of undead on his own, and the gods imbued his sword with enough holy energy so that he may slaughter them. There you go, it's a +2 sword that also does extra damage to undead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's got a cool story, but it is just some heroic guy that, maybe got a little bit of divine energy in his sword, and that's why it's an artifact now.
Yeah. Or, it was given to him by a god to do just what he needed to do, So, wasn't made extra powerful because it wasn't needed for what he was doing.
And maybe now, there's this horrible undead guy coming back, and you have to wield it to slaughter to fight his armies, and it's the only weapon that will, finish him off or something like that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, here's your story point for the artifact that's really powerful in there, and is it strong? Yes. Is it going to be, unbalancing the game? No, but it's a story.
You know what? We actually hit on something that I think is also very important. Making it scale. Basically, you have to awaken it, or you have to do something to bring its power back, or its power incrementally gets back based on doing certain things. That's another way you can make a sword not overtly powerful, but make it then more powerful as you move along. It's not like, this +2 holy sword is no longer good enough, so I'm not going to wield it anymore, even though we were supposed to save it for the final boss, but it's just not as good as it was when we got it,
I think that comes down to also things like Momo, you using the kind of box that we have. That's kind of like a puzzle. We don't know how to do that, how to activate, how to use it. That's the other thing, too, is it's rewaking powers, figuring out how to use something, too, where it can't just be picked up and you use it. That's also a good one, too. Or, magic doesn't, I tried casting Identify on it, but it doesn't really tell me anything. This is a powerful artifact, and I can't read it with these things,
It's also technically not magic, it's technology.
Yeah.
It gets a little funky and weird.
But I think that idea of part of the quest line maybe to understand and use it, and you can then level up to the point in time, and then it's a powerful item for what you need to do. So it's you might have an item but it's limited in its use or something for various reasons. Like there are lots of ways to write it and to keep this story of whatever this powerful item is, this powerful technology, artifact, magical thing, whatever it is, you know, you can keep that the lore is there and your characters can learn the lore, but they can also learn others. Like, you know, you can add to that lore something happened to it that it's like, you know, sealed away now or something like that. Oh, you know, you can say why maybe it's not as powerful right now, you know, or something like that. Very easily in the story, and honestly speaking, it should be done for some reasons.
Actually, I think, yeah, I think a fun one you could do, let's say it's a sword. You only have, like, the sword, kind of like, what's that sword in Lord of the Rings that's, like, makes the king sword or whatever?
Oh,
anyway.
God. Yeah,
I do not remember what that
yeah,
is
that's
called.
like shattered, and then they like have the
Aragorn's sword that they've reforged in a really weird way.
Yeah, but my thought was like what you could do is make it so it's all like you basically have like a sword with only a little bit there, and therefore it's only so powerful. And as you get pieces and reforge it, you can make it more and more powerful. That'd be a fun way to go about, you know.
Yeah.
You know, there are things you can do.
There are really good stories to tell out there, but yeah, I think it's just another angle to that. Again, as an angle to our previous conversation that we had on artifacts. You gotta use it right. Gotta use it right. Yeah.
It's honestly, the problem with artifacts is they take a lot of thought. And here's a hot take: if you accidentally make it too powerful or too weak, just tell your players, I screwed up, we're adjusting it.
I've done that before.
Yeah.
They might be annoyed, but I feel like most players are like, yeah, I kind of get why.
Yeah, I, you know, if you messed up, just, you know, figure out how you're using it in the story and what it should be in the games you're doing. You know, it's completely up to you how it is expressed. And, you know, usually when you add these in, you want it to be something cool and awesome and your players to use it. You can make sure it does that. It's sort of like...
And this thing, if your players aren't using it, it's probably too weak. If they're using exclusively it, then it's probably too powerful.
Bounce. Anything else we want to add on that one? I think that was a pretty good dive into that. That was good direction for artifacts. I don't think we handled last time.
No, yeah.
Don't be afraid to give your players a sword with a demon inside of it. That's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, again, it's the same thing of like just giving your people like, oh, here's this nice hand of Vecna or eye of Vecna or Sword of Cost. Just don't give them a deck of many things. That's terrible.
No, that one usually ends badly.
Yeah, it ended bad. I honestly am kind of... I didn't realize the hero deck thing was... You said there weren't that many bad options. There were plenty of bad options.
That was like the less bad version.
The thing is, I'm more used to the deck of many things and a lot more worse options, so it was just... It had weird options. I think that's the way it went. It was weird, and... I think I really should have skipped it. I don't know why they put it in the book. I am really just... It was there. I don't know why.
Yeah. I should have looked up the options before I picked how many I went for.
Yeah, I think this is me, like, at the back end of the adventure, just going along with a lot of stuff towards the end. Especially because, you know... And also, we were kind of speeding through things at the back end, so, you know...
Yeah.
I probably should just not. Honestly, like, now that I look back, it's like... I think that's, like, another, like, a fourth artifact that's technically in there that you temporarily create.
Yeah.
Shall we finish up by talking about our week in gaming today?
True.
Did anybody do anything on Sunday?
Technically, yes. I met with the GM of a game I'm going to be joining, and we rolled up some character stuff. Yeah. That's where I actually rolled stupid well. Actually, I almost want to look up my stats so I can tell you. Should be this game. Loading.
Okay, no.
Roll20 is loading.
Ah, the load of Roll20.
Okay. Yeah. So there's my character. It is. Oh, was I in the game? I hope not. I hope I wasn't in the game. But anyway, let's see. Here are my stats: Strength 8, Dexterity 17, Constitution 15, Intelligence 17, Wisdom 8, Charisma 10. Isn't that nice?
It's pretty good stats.
Like, yeah, I got, and the only reason Strength and Wisdom are 8 is because I had -1 to those two stats because of the race I picked. I picked a Tinker Gnome. +2 Dex and -1 Strength, -1 Wisdom.
Okay. Neat.
Yeah, I am very, and that's why, so that's why I picked kind of some stuff.
You definitely have to let us know how the adventure goes with this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's currently running, but I just haven't, joined yet because I still have to like make my character, and he wants character art and stuff, so I'm gonna figure all that out.
Gotcha. How about Monday? Anybody do anything on Monday? I know that Tuesday we were off.
We were off Tuesday, but I did stuff on Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
I went out with some friends, and we went to see the new Sonic movie, which was very good, and then we played Warhammer, which is always fun. Again, we don't take the game very seriously. We just kind of goof around and do dumb stuff, which is, in my opinion, the best way to enjoy Warhammer. So it was a fun, silly time.
I've got to be honest, I did enjoy the first one. I have to see the second one and the third one now. But
The Sonic 3 was very good.
I'm constantly impressed that they actually made a good movie series.
It's crazy that all three are pretty good.
Yeah. I guess it's just the fact that we've got such bad movies so often. I had to remember that we didn't have Joe's game on Sunday then because we were going to be bountiful to we wanted to do.
Well, Wednesday was also Christmas.
Yeah, true. I guess holidays. So yeah, nothing Tuesday, nothing Wednesday. Anybody do anything? Yes, Thursday.
No.
How about yesterday?
Besides dying from being sick, nah.
Yeah, quiet week for me too. I did think about bringing back the holiday tradition of Christmas that I did one year, but maybe next year. Honestly speaking, it just has been a pretty busy month here for me, so I didn't put and setting up stuff in the newer game too, and hoping to get some things done with that. Just has definitely been a more of a distraction, so I didn't push myself. So eventually we'll probably bring back a holiday one shot. At least the Star Trek one shots on the schedule. May the 4th be a Star Trek, and I've got, as I showed at the beginning here, I got the 2nd edition core book. It's still classic. Have it. Oh yeah, Momo, I can show off too. I also got this Bloomberg box.
Oh, nice.
I'm gonna open this probably on stream at some point this week.
Heard that's one of the only good sets we got this year.
Yes. I think the description was, I think mechanically the Thunder Junction and Duskmoor weren't bad. Wise, kind of. But Bloomburrow is the one that's got both cool lore, story, and good mechanics. It's the trifecta.
Yeah. I mean, we got the Clue one. Was definitely not the worst thing ever made this year. That's a lie. It was literally the worst set that came out this year. It was so bad.
We have 6 sets next year. Are we ready for that?
I'm looking forward to none of them.
Final Fantasy one might have some cool things.
I mean, that's fine. I might actually buy the one because I like Final Fantasy.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of a lot of those games, so I'm kind of on that same boat. I'm like, shit, I do like a lot of Final Fantasy games.
I do actively play Final Fantasy 14, and that is featured in it.
Mm-hmm. I guess that's it for this week. It was a quiet week this week. You know, a few small.
I mean, it was a holiday week.
It
Yeah.
was Christmas.
It was
We should
Christmas.
we should do something on the 1st because I have that day off.
Maybe.
I could plan for something, but
I work on the 1st, sadly.
I'll figure out.
I'm busy, unfortunately.
But definitely for me, like I'm just gonna have a schedule next week. I do nothing special for New Year's.
Unfortunately, you work evenings.
Yeah.
And old people gotta eat.
Yeah.
Damn them, they're eating.
True.
I guess that'll be it for today. Hey, I think there were some pretty good discussions here.
Yeah.
Not a lot of topics, but there were some good ones that we dived into here. So, certainly speaking, interesting stuff that's come up. So I hope everybody enjoyed diving into it and getting some good shots here. Learned a few things, that might help you out for artifacts and visual music. I will thank my two co-hosts here. Thank you, Momo, for popping in here, especially getting your Warhammer.
I'm always happy to lend a hand to Warhammer, a relatively still niche topic in America.
I feel like it's so funny because I've been exposed to it so much that I feel like I'm like, is it really that niche? Because I feel
It's
like
kind of like the end point of nerd. Everything will eventually become Warhammer. It all leads to Warhammer.
The setting of Warhammer is gaining popularity.
Yeah.
I don't know if the game itself is getting popularity.
The tabletop game absolutely is never going to become mainstream. However, the setting will eventually.
Yeah. I think things
tabletop
like
wargaming is very niche.
Space Marine 2 being as well as it did.
I have opinions on that game.
At least it seemed like people liked it.
I thought it was fine. I mean, Secret Level, Space Marine 2, it's all bolter porn. It's the visual that people like.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree on that.
You get your cool big man and shoot alien with gun.
Yep. But yeah. And Worm, thank you too for joining.
No problem.
You give your shout out there as a first shout out.
I'm DiamondWyrm. You can find me on twitch.tv/DiamondWyrm and at DiamondWyrm on Twitter, at DiamondWyrm on Blue Sky, and DiamondWyrm on... funny enough, I actually found out that they did make it so that way I am DiamondWyrm on YouTube. That used to not be a thing. It used to be like, unless you were like a partner, you had like a random string of letters and numbers.
I think it's better now for getting a title now.
Yeah, but it's like something. There's some kind of effect that makes it so my channel like has something. But I'm like DiamondWyrm like 9234.
Yeah, it's sort of like I know that eventually. Like, again, it's one of those things that like maybe if I have some time in January, I'll finally do. Like I keep talking about making a VODs channel. For all my especially for all my non-tabletop related stuff, or just for like the full episodes and stuff, like stuff I do. And I know that I can connect it with my other channel, technically, to have the multiple channel kind of thing set up. You can do that, so I can easily make another one. But I just have to do that and set things up.
Yeah. So like it gives me that thing, but it's not just /DiamondWyrm. It's /at DiamondWyrm9234. So I think I get an actual name if I get like enough subscribers and become like it's not partner, I forget what it's called.
Yes. I can't remember. But it's been a lot of years. So I think it was 500 before.
I mean, I can literally just go here and basically see. It is. I think I go to the earn section. Yeah. It's you have to get 500 subscribers and have 3 video uploads in the last 90 days, and then have one of the following, which is 3,000 public watch hours or 3 million shorts views.
I like it's one of those things like I watch a few shorts from people that I follow, but then I just keep forgetting one.
Shorts are great for discovery, bad for payment.
Yep.
Myself, Tasknar Van Dracovin. You can find me here most days of the week. My schedule usually goes up on Monday. Should be back to a more normal schedule next week. So some tabletop topics on usually Wednesdays and Thursdays. Gaming on Tuesdays and Fridays. Still have to finish up Elden Ring. I'm right at the end of it. And I've been playing some Dave the Diver and I'm really enjoying that. I eventually will get into more of the story. It's one of those things that's like, I'm just sitting there, I'm like, I'm doing the fishing thing. Whee! I like that. Yeah. That's about it.
Okay,
Remember,
they don't have a name for it, by the way. It's just the next step to earn money on YouTube. It's not like a partner. It's not like an affiliate.
Monetization, I think, kind of level.
Yeah.
Sure, check out my Discord, Blue Sky, X. Yes, that's sort of. All right, okay. Check out people when they do stuff. I'll be back on Tuesday. I'll be a gaming day, and check out the schedule on that. And if you're watching stuff on YouTube, this will be up on Monday, and the schedule should be up. Anyway, all right, everybody. Bye for now. Have a good rest of your weekend, and I'll see you later.
Bye.